Hello, and welcome to another episode of We Should Have Recorded That with Phil and Adam. Unfortunately, we have no Phil this week, so it's just We Should Have Recorded That with Adam. Wasser Wah instead of Wasser Wapa. Anyway, I am delighted to be hosting my first episode of our podcast solo. Although, of course, I would prefer to have my partner in crime with me. So, Phil, we miss you, we love you, and we hope to have you back with us next week. Dear listeners, please remember to subscribe, comment, share, like, and follow us. We are WSRTwPA on Facebook and Instagram. That's the acronym of We Should Have Recorded That with Phil and Adam, WSRTwPA. And on YouTube, you can find us by our full title if you would prefer to watch our podcast rather than listen to it. So, I have the pleasure this week of continuing our Where Are They Now series with none other than Miss Basia Thomas. Basia, welcome.
Hey.
It's so great to see you again.
Yes. You too. I miss your voice. I miss your energy.
I miss your voice and your energy.
Yes.
I really do. We were saying off the air that we wouldn't catch up too much until we had hit the record button. So this is very spontaneous, me getting to catch up with Basia Thomas, who was one of my students at Delta State, just like last week's Chandler Smith. And we have a few more former students coming up to share their journeys with us. So, Basia, let's begin by reflecting on your time in Cleveland, Mississippi. What brought you to Delta State? What were those 4 years like as a piano performance major? What else did you learn?
So, it actually starts back when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Overton High School in Memphis, Tennessee. And Dr. It goes back to middle school because that's when I first met Dr. Shin.
Wow.
At a competition.
Mm-hmm.
And she was one of the judges. And I was in 8th grade and I performed the Bach's Prelude in C.
Mm-hmm.
And I played that and I got either first or third. I don't remember. But I remember her coming up to me and she was like, "Oh my gosh, what are you looking, to go to college? Like, where do you think about it?" And I was in 8th grade, so I was just like, I don't know,
What? That's amazing.
Yeah, so she was like, "But, you did so well." I just remember her.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went so she said, "You should go to the Performing Arts High School."
Mm-hmm.
And that's when she introduced me to Overton. And so I was like, okay, I should go. So I went to Overton High School, and then Dr. Shin, she does the master classes at for our piano program there. And so that's kind of how I met Dr. Shin and Dr. Shimizu, because they would come together. And so for those 4 years, they would always come. They would always, help me, build me up. And they was like, "You should come to Delta State. You should come to Delta State," every year. And that's how I ended up coming to Delta State. They got me a scholarship and everything. And that's kind of how that journey started. But while I was at Delta State, I felt, especially coming from, so I'm in New Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
but
You're in New Jersey
coming
now.
from,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
yes, so coming from that small town in Mississippi, it just, and coming here is such a big difference. So I really appreciated my time at Delta State more now.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was just very family type, community feel.
Yes.
And I really miss that.
Mm-hmm.
That was really the main things that I could think about when I reflect going back to Delta State, was just how it's not even homey, it's just very close, very tight-knit community. And
it is amazing
really
how you appreciate it more when you've left it than you appreciate it when you're there.
Yes. And even when I was there, I mean, we did have some good times.
Mm-hmm.
I really the professors at Delta State University, I didn't realize how great everyone actually was. Like, they were very personalized versus here where it's like you're expected to be great. No one really cares about that part because it's like if you make a mistake, okay, we can find someone to replace you. You know, versus, you know, them taking the time to like really focus on each and every student. I wish that I could thank them more, like go back down and just like, thank you so much for what y'all did. But yeah.
But you can send them an email and say, listen to the podcast.
I'm going to send them an email. right, there you go.
That's right. They can see you.
They can watch me doing all that.
Yeah. Basia, what do you think? So you just talked about the faculty as like one of the sources of that tight-knit community. What else do you think is in the secret sauce? Because I reflect on the same thing. It was very much, there was very much like a family. What were the other reasons that Delta State and especially the music department were like that?
I mean, it was very small, and everybody came from, everybody wasn't really from Mississippi. Like, they came from all over. So I think just that part, like, they could give us those experiences that we never thought, because we grew up around Mississippi, Tennessee. Like, we don't really know what's going on or around the world. So it was those experiences that they brought there, that part. But then also, I think because it was just a small program, well, smaller compared to, it really gave us the chance to get to know everyone. And I just felt like, I mean, and it wasn't a big building. It had 2 floors, so it wasn't, that big. So it made us see, okay, when we walking past each other, we know, it was just very small. However, I feel like that's really what it was. Because there were like so many, not so many, but there were a lot of opportunities for us to see each other. I think that was kind of the thing.
Yes.
It's like, oh, hey, you saw the professor just walking. You saw the, versus at a big school, you would hardly see anybody,
Right.
But yeah, right. I mean, I'm sure there are many other moments. That's kind of what I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And Basia, one of the things that I thought was magical about what happened there, and you're actually a prime example of this, is how much students grew during their 4 years.
Yes. I mean, for myself, you have no idea. Like, okay, I went there, I came to that school. Let me just quickly go back.
Yes.
Let's go back to Basia when she was in high school. First of all, I was in choir, obviously. I hated singing. I was terrified of singing. And when they said, oh, you can be in the choir, like that, when Dr. Shin was like saying, you can be in the choir, I was just kind of like, I'm not going to be in the choir. I can't sing. I mean, like, I was terrified. I was terrified to do a lot of things. But as far as piano, I couldn't read music like that. I was one of the students that listened to the recordings and just played what they did and barely read the music. But Dr. Shan and Dr. Shimizu challenged me those 4 years. Every single year, it was just like, if you want to play these songs, you have to read. You have to read. And I hated it. I cried. I remember crying in front of Dr. Shimizu, and she was just like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, you don't have to do anything. Just let me be,
Yes.
But anyway, the time that they spent on us, I mean, we had no choice but to grow. They
Yes.
wasn't going to let us not grow.
Yes.
And that's what I really appreciate, because when you go out into the world, it's not about if you can play the notes on the, if you can play all the notes, if you can read all the notes. It's about discipline. It's
Yes.
about what are you really passionate about, and how are you going to grow? How are you going to? You can't stay in the same, what I'm saying, in the same mindset. What are you gonna do when it's not a piano in front of you? Like,
Yes.
you're gonna use those same resources? Yes.
Right.
So.
Oh, amen. Honestly, I mean,
Listen.
a musical
I mean-
education is invaluable because yes, it teaches so many so many life skills outside of music, right?
Yes, that's what I try to teach for my students, because it's not just about playing the piano. Yes, it is nice. I want you to become fabulous pianists, but you're not, you have your other dreams and aspirations. I am teaching you discipline. I'm teaching you that if you want to work hard, if you want to do the things you want to do, you have to work for it.
Yes. Yes,
And
exactly.
That's my motto.
All right. Well, before we get too down the rabbit trail of the grand philosophies of music,
I'm sorry.
So don't apologize, Basia. This is phenomenal. This is why we wanted you on this podcast, because you have wisdom to share. But okay, so you have alluded to the difference between small school Delta State and big school. So tell us about the big school you went to after graduating from DSU.
Okay, so I would say it was bigger than Delta State, but I don't think it was a big school. It was Montclair State University in Montclair, New Jersey. It was a different feel. It was a different stage. It was, we don't care if you don't know how to read music. It's, you read the music or you're gonna fail. And I liked that. I liked that. I hated it at first, but again, you can always appreciate something, once you've been through it and you're gone. Then I hated it. But when I look back on those performances I did at Montclair State, I'm like, oh, I actually really, really grew. It was no longer the coddling, oh, you can do it, Basia, you can do it. It was no longer that. It was, if you can't do this, you are not good enough. Yeah. And it did mess with me. It messed with me, but you really do have to have a strong mind to be able to overcome that and to see beyond what they're trying to really tell you.
Yes. Because
it's true. I mean, in life, no one's gonna coddle you, or no one's gonna, always give you those affirmations or not, what's the word? Those things that let you know that you're doing great. Assurance or something like that.
Right.
So it's like you have to, and that was actually the challenge. I'm going down the rabbit hole. I'm sorry.
No, this is great. This is great.
But that's why life after school was hard, because I was so used to the small school energy, the small town, the you can do it, and I didn't have that here, especially not in New Jersey. Okay, so I had to, really become that person for me, and that grad school really changed the game. Okay, it really told me, hey, we need you to get it together. And I got it together, and I'm glad that even though I really struggled those 2 years mentally, because I was not used to that, I'm happy that I got to experience that, and that made me become the person that I really want to be, today. And that's why I really do feel like the successes I've made is because of that, just, hardcore, stop playing with yourself. You can do it,
Yeah. What would you, So you've said that during grad school you like were tasked to get your act together. What ways did you feel you were most challenged to get your act together? What were the things you needed to learn?
Okay, here we go. Okay, so at Delta State, I was the collaborative pianist. I was one of the collaborative pianists.
I know you played for the chorale, and you played beautifully.
Yes.
I loved conducting when you were at the piano.
I loved being up there. It was actually pretty cool, to just come in with you and everything. But there were a lot of things that I felt maybe when I was at Delta State, I think I was babied a little bit because, of course, the harder pieces went to Dr. Shimizu. We got the little baby pieces, but I always felt like I was struggling to perform with singers or because no, we had a lot of time, so we had time to practice.
Yes.
But at grad school, it's not about time. It's about sight reading. Yes. And that was my biggest thing. Coming from high school to Delta State, I didn't know how to read music. So sight reading was that growth thing for me at Delta State. But I still wasn't there. You know what I mean? Yep. I was struggling. You don't want to say, but I was struggling. Anyway.
I remember, Guasha, you and I are fellow pianists.
Yes, so
you're a real pianist, and I'm used to be. And yes, I know what you're talking about.
We think the same. So, but when I went to grad school, it was I didn't have months to prepare.
Right.
It was we're coming to this lesson. Here are the songs. We need you. This, we need this actually done today.
Just be ready. Yeah.
Just be ready. And then, the next week, So I got a lot of backlash from teachers. Teachers would be like, is she really good? Is she really a master's student? I would get that. And my teacher would tell me, they're saying this about you. And that hurt me a lot. But it really kind of, I hated that, but I got my act together. It kind of forced me to just be okay, you need to spend more time sight reading. You need to just spend more time. And I still did horrible. It was still horrible, but I during that time while I was in grad school, I picked up a job teaching piano students. And while I was waiting for my students to show up, because sometimes they wouldn't, sometimes they would. While in those breaks, the hour breaks or 30-minute breaks, I would just pick up a book and just read it, sight read it.
Yeah.
And I did that consistently for a year. And it was just a magic. And I wouldn't have been able to do that. If no one had forced me, hey, you are bad. If no one had said that, I would not have thought to just pick up some books and, really go for it. Yes. I would have thought that I was good or whatever, And that changed the game. Yes. So I was kind of afraid to go back into playing for singers and, things like that. But I got a job at Arkansas State University to to collaborate with the students there. And while it was off-site because I was sitting in recordings, day after day after day, I was probably playing maybe 50 songs a month or something like that.
Yeah, right.
And I just got so good at it. I just got so good at sight reading.
Yes.
And it was wow. So the grad school, it jumpstarted me to, that was the challenge, but it really, it really made me fail so that I could succeed, later on.
Yes.
And that was what I needed.
Oh.
It was horrible.
Yes.
But that was what I needed.
Yes. Oh.
But yeah.
I love... Okay, those are some powerful lessons that you learned.
Yes. I mean, that part, but also the other lesson was that, coming from a small town to a big city, that in itself was already, the people here are different. I don't know the mannerisms. Like, why is no one being nice to me? I don't know what's happening.
You're calling people sir and ma'am, and they're looking back at you,
and they're like
grow to third eyeball.
Yeah, they're like, don't call me ma'am. I'm not old. And I'm like, I wasn't saying you were old. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
It was a lot of that. That was another challenge. And also, of course, like the race challenge. That was a huge thing because, if people down south are very polite and they're not going to say much about, race. But up here, they just, I don't like your hair. I think it's too aggressive. I think you should put it up or straighten it. A lot of that.
Who?
Oh, yes.
Who said that to you?
I can't say.
I mean, like what kind of person says that to you?
Professors.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
Yes.
Okay, I am a damn Yankee, but I still think that's inappropriate.
Yeah, that's. I'm not slandering the school. But they have a lot to work on.
We all do, right?
We all do.
Yep.
And I'm just saying from my experience, like that.
I hear you.
That was was another challenge.
What other ways was race a challenge for you, especially after moving up north?
It was. I mean, I really felt like people didn't know what I was what I was doing. I always felt outcasted a little bit because it was like, oh, she played piano or she played jazz. Like, it was it was they didn't know what I was doing there. And me being bad. I mean, I wasn't bad. Let me stop saying that.
That's right.
Let me stop saying that. I wasn't bad. I just was,
You had some
adjusting.
Weaknesses.
Yeah, I had some weaknesses, and I was adjusting.
Right,
I wasn't at my best because I had been, it was new. So it was just like, and I really got it a lot from the Asian community. It was like, oh, can she really play? Or, I mean, I heard the comments, and I heard from other people what they were saying. So it was like, that was a challenge. That made me sad, of course. Again, I had to get over it. Because that wasn't my focus. I couldn't focus on that.
Right.
I had to focus on sight reading. I had to focus on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just like those little moments that I just wasn't used to,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I
that
understand. Yeah. So, you finished your master's degree in piano performance at Montclair State. And what have you been doing since then?
So, I was teaching at that school that I had mentioned, but I ended up taking my power back, and I decided to quit because I really felt like, as far as money, because let's face it, it's really expensive to live up here,
yes.
And we have to do what we have to do,
yes.
And I found the hustle mindset that you have to have up here, that you can't, necessarily have to have down south.
Right.
But I figured it out. I said, okay, I am getting paid not what I'm worth. And that was my thing. Like that was kind of the biggest thing that I was focused on. Like, what is my worth? How much am I, how much is my worth? And so they were trying to put me in this contract at this school. And I said, I can't. The contract was you cannot teach at another school. You can only teach at our school. But it was a part-time job. It wasn't like a full-time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was like, I can't just get rid of, so I had to quit. I didn't have a job for like a couple of months. I ended up just going off on a whim and just like emailing this like really top school of music. And they was like, oh, we're doing interviews. I emailed them when they're doing interviews. So they was like, okay, do you want to do an interview? I got the job. Thank God. I got the job. And that's a really good school that I'm working at now.
Yeah.
And then I also was like, okay, let me have my own private students because I want to build a studio. Like I want to also have other, forms of income, but also just, I want to have my own students.
Yes.
I want to do the recitals and everything. And I just, again, went to Facebook on the little community page. Hey, I'm looking for students this age, hit me up. I got like 50 clients like saying, hey, I need a teacher. I mean, this was, the summertime. So like, everybody. So I got a studio, not 50 students, but but I got like a pretty good size, maybe like 15, 16 students. So I'm excited about that. I've been just kind of hustling though. I've been working like odd jobs, just trying to stack up money because I'm not about to, well, it's a whole thing I'm not gonna get into, but I was struggling trying to do life after college. Like I was, I didn't know anything about this type of lifestyle. I had roommates. It was a mess. And I finally this year, 2021, got my own place, got my own jobs, I got a cat.
You are such a grown up.
I got a cat. I know! I know! I'm just like, who am I?
I love it. And so are you living in Montclair?
No, so I'm living in Caldwell, New Jersey.
But still,
like,
New York City.
It's the same area.
Right, yeah, like you're right there, right across the river.
I go to the city all the time. I want to live in the city eventually, but it's hard. It's crazy, but I would love to live in New York one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still, so right now I'm actually in the mindset of shifting because I don't want to teach all my life. Actually, that's a lie. I like teaching.
Yeah.
I actually like teaching. I just want to perform more.
Okay.
I want to be more on the stage a little bit more.
Yes.
Like I have some things that I create. Like I'm actually I'm not a composer, but I improv very well. Like I'm a very creative.
Yes.
I like to just, create and, do that type of thing. So I'm striving towards that aspect of my music career. I've been performing. Where's the last place? I can't remember. I performed with some groups, some trios like flute and cello.
Okay.
I've done a sextet with a brass ensemble, and I just really right now I'm really just trying to focus on what I can do as far as like perform more.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where I am.
So that's the next step for you. Yeah.
Yay.
Oh, that's great. Oh, Basia, it's so good to, just hear about what you've been up to and what you've learned and dream with you about what might come next.
Yes, I am all about moving forward.
Yes.
Like, I'm always about, okay, what's the next step? Because we're not going to do this. We're not going to, I can't sit still.
Right.
Like,
yes.
I have to keep going because I don't feel good when I just, like, sit. Like, I caught myself saying, I caught myself being kind of nervous, like, okay, everything's going good, like, and nothing is happening. Is this great? Am I here? Did I make it?
Yeah.
But it's like, you can you can, of course, be comfortable for a little bit.
Yes.
But
Yes. Would
that's how I am.
would Basia of 10 years ago, what would Basia of 10 years ago think of Basia of today?
Honestly, Basia of 10 years ago wouldn't be surprised. I'm not gonna like,
Yeah.
because I've always knew where I was gonna go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been talking about going to New York or performing in New York since I was a child. I mean, and it's just kind of like, and I'm not to say that to brag on myself, because it's not about that, but it is about recognizing what you've done.
Yes.
Like, I really said, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go to New York. Y'all watch me.
Mm-hmm.
And then went through the things that people don't want to go through.
Yeah.
People don't want to go through people don't want to go through the hard things. You don't, it's like, it's easy to just get the job,
Yep.
do the mundane, the routine. But it takes that type of person to go through the thing you don't want to go through to get to where you want to go.
Yes.
And I had to learn that. I didn't know. I felt like I came from a kind of privileged, sheltered life. In the sense of, everybody was like, you can do it, Basia, you can do it. There was never any challenges for me until I came here. And I had to, that was a challenge. It was like, are you sure you can play piano? Are you sure you're good? Are you sure? Like, a lot of those doubts. I mean, depression was real up here.
Yeah.
It's like, you have to go through it. You have to go through it to like I said, you have to go through I had to go through that hard time at grad school to realize what to appreciate it. I had to do the small town Delta State to appreciate that.
Right.
So it's like I had to go through it. I didn't like it. I had to go through the depression to appreciate life and to appreciate what my true purpose is and what, is it about playing piano? It's really not.
Yeah, right.
It's about just continuing to go, like, to be the best version of yourself. And I know I'm like talking too much, and this is a whole sermon, and I'm trying not to do this.
No, preach.
But I really, I really grew, and I'm just proud of myself, I guess. Yes. I'm proud of myself.
Well, Basia.
Because I don't get to say that a lot.
Basia, I am super proud of you, too.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I just couldn't agree
it was
more.
hard.
Yes. But as you've said, without the challenges, there are no successes. So
there are no successes.
Yeah. Oh, such good stuff. Anything else that you just want to put into the universe now that we are recording?
Oh, okay. I've been trying to perform more.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to perform with an orchestra.
Yes.
And I'm gonna perform a piano concerto. Whether that be Mozart, Rachmaninoff, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to perform with an orchestra within the next 5 years.
I love that.
Within the next 5 years.
I'm gonna be
specific and say within next year.
Within the next year.
We're just gonna go for it.
All right. Orchestral conductors listening to this podcast. Basia's available.
Hit me up. Hit me up. I'm not playing.
That's amazing. All right. Basia Thomas, I don't know if you're familiar with our podcast, but we always end with 2 recurring segments. First, about current events, and the second, we talk briefly about what we learned this week from the podcast. You game to play along?
Sure.
All right. I'll go first so that you see how it's
Okay.
done. Current event this week. I am I'm very interested. I'm a little bit of a news junkie. Listeners of the
Okay.
podcast know that. And so one of the podcasts that I listen to every day is the NPR Politics podcast. And I stay pretty attuned to what's going on in national level politics. And this like off-year election that happened on Tuesday that seems to have been a real wake-up call for a lot of people, and they're trying to figure out what it means for the midterms next year and even for 2024 when we have another presidential election. And
Yeah.
I am just going to say this. Maybe it's because I'm such a news junkie, but I'm really just fed up with like all politics and politicians.
Honestly, same.
Yes, I'm just like, okay, like, so someone won and someone lost, and were either of them really any good at all? Like,
No, serious.
Yes.
I agree.
So
I feel the
that's
same
my
way.
reflection on current events. That like, maybe it's because it was an off-year election, but I was like so uninvested in the races that happened this week, and I'm just like, you know what? I've kind of come to understand that no matter who wins, they're gonna suck.
Honestly, I didn't even. I mean, I knew that was happening, but I didn't know really what they were talking about. Like, I didn't. It was just kind of like, I don't even know what's going on anymore.
Yes.
Like, what is this in our country where you don't even know like what is happening?
Right. I'm with you. Well, what current event is on your mind, Basia?
Oof. This might get deep, and I don't want it to get deep.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm here for it. It's okay.
It's the police thing.
And
And I don't want to get into it because every time I get into it, it just really upsets my spirit. Because it's what I see every time I'm on Facebook, every time I'm on Instagram, the whole, oh, why are you arresting me? What did I do?
Yeah.
Like that whole thing. And man, that's so funny because, like, okay, I'm not a criminal, but I got stopped by the police.
Wow.
And I didn't and that was my first time ever get stopped by the police, and I was so nervous. I didn't realize how anxious I could be from like an experience like that. I mean, he was just like super nice. I mean, he was like, oh, I just, you were speeding just a little bit, but just give me your your stuff. And I gave him my stuff, and I was just like, I'm so sorry. Like, I was really freaking out. And I almost cried. I was like, I was freaking out because I was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to.
Right.
And he was like, it's just a warning for now. It's okay. But like, just that one experience made me really realize that, are you safe? Like, am I safe?
Yeah.
Like, I just pray. And so when I see those videos, I go like, oh my God, I'm pretty sure he's nervous.
Yeah.
Like, as crap. So he's just like talking. And that's what you do. You just talk,
Right.
So, yeah, I don't want to get too much into it, but that's kind of what's been on my mind. Like, just seeing that and just trying to figure out how they're going to, what the next steps will be.
Yes.
For the police, but I don't. Yeah.
Well, gosh, yeah, Basha, thank you for sharing that. I know it is vulnerable, and I just, like, people like me need to hear about experiences like that, because when I've gotten pulled over, I've never been afraid.
Oh.
Right? That is my privilege. Now, I have had speeding tickets. In fact, you're lucky you got off with a warning. I've never gotten a warning.
I was cute, so,
But although I received the fine, I'm never afraid. I've never been asked to get out of the vehicle. I've never been asked to put my hands over my head. All of that stuff that we see on those videos, I've just never been asked to do, and it's because I'm white.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's the reality. I mean, when you see, I mean, it's not so much, maybe not like for a black girl or whatever, but that still happens. Mm-hmm. But they see someone there and they think, okay, is he gonna be aggressive? And obviously, black folk just being us.
Yes.
we tend to if we get nervous, we kind of like what's going on, like it just it messes us up a little bit. So I hate it, but it's like what it makes you wonder, is it always gonna be like that? Because
yes,
how is it gonna change?
How can we make progress?
What are they gonna do? Like, what can they do? Because they're always gonna be, not all police are bad, but there's always gonna be bad people, and people who judge. So it's like, what do you do?
I wish I knew the answer to your question. Well, thank you for sharing that. All right, we end every episode talking about what we learned from that episode. And I'll say, Basia, I am so grateful for your reminder that you must fail to succeed. In order to succeed, you must fail first. It is through failure that we finally learn.
Yes.
And I'm going to be preaching that to my own students this week. They are. Any of them who are listening to this podcast, you need to be okay with failing.
Yeah, you know what? You should really, as soon as something bad happens, you should be like, oh, I know my blessing is about to come. Because, that's just kind of been my thing. Once something happens, I'm like, okay, ooh, Lord, this is going to be a big blessing. Like, I already feel it. I'm about to overcome something, and you look forward to that versus being stuck in the, oh, this is happening. Why does this always happen to me?
Right.
Because it's gonna always happen to you if you think that way. But so that's something I have learned. It's just to be okay with when the bad things happen. Just be like, look forward to what's about to come after.
Yes.
So. For me, that's kind of been what I've learned for the past, 5 years that I've been up here?
Mm-hmm. Beautiful lesson. Basia, what did you learn from today?
Oh. You mean...
And it's okay, because...
I feel like I just talked to
You've been doing the teaching, and I've been doing the learning. So,
I'm sorry!
No, sorry. You are.
I'm not
really
sorry,
did your job
but
being a guest on this podcast.
I don't really. I've learned how to set up a microphone.
Oh.
I'm not. Wait.
Yes.
I don't mean it.
All right. Well.
I don't mean it in any disrespect. I miss you, Dr. Potter.
I miss you
Adam.
too, Basia.
Adam.
That's right. My name is Adam.
Adam, I miss you.
Well, Basia Thomas, you're welcome in Rochester anytime.
Yay.
Yeah.
Actually, I went to Rochester for Labor Day.
And you
I
did?
I was in Rochester. And I didn't. I forgot. It's okay. I can go there later.
I am so upset now.
Oh my God, I was there for it was like Labor Day weekend. Like I was there. Like I stayed there.
I was here.
So sorry.
All right,
I
next
will
time.
visit you next time. Next time.
You let me know.
Yes, I got you. I got you.
All right. Well, dear audience, I'm sure that you have enjoyed hearing from Basia Thomas as much as I have. So thanks for tuning in. Next week, Phil will be back with us for another Where Are They Now episode. Until then, Well, what do I say? I say bye for now. And then Phil says adios.
Oh!